The universe has a strange way of bringing people back together. For Elise Montgomery, CEO of Montgomery Innovations, it happened on a rainy Tuesday night when her Bentley broke down on the same stretch of highway where she'd said goodbye to the love of her life 12 years ago. What she didn't know as she called for roadside assistance was that the mechanic who would answer her call was none other than Jake Reeves, the man whose heart she'd shattered, and who now raised their daughter alone. A daughter she never knew existed. If you think this story is just about a chance reunion, you couldn't be more wrong. By the time the sun rises, one of them will be fighting for their life, and the truth that's been buried for over a decade will finally come to light. The rain pounded against the windshield of Elise's Bentley Continental as she pulled over to the shoulder of Highway 16. Steam billowed from under the hood, and the engine made a sickening grinding noise before shutting off completely. She pressed her forehead against the steering wheel and exhaled slowly. The board meeting had run late, and now this, stranded in the middle of nowhere, 40 miles outside of Portland. She reached for her phone and dialed her assistant. "Margot, my car broke down on Highway 16. Can you call my service and have them send someone? I need to get back to the city tonight." "Of course, Ms. Montgomery. I'll take care of it right away." Elise ended the call and stared out at the rain-slicked road. The irony wasn't lost on her that she'd broken down near Miller's Creek, the same small town where she'd spent that last summer with Jake before heading off to Harvard. Before her father had made it clear that a mechanic's son had no place in their family's future. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more emotional journeys like this one. Your support means everything, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. 40 minutes later, headlights appeared in her rearview mirror. A tow truck pulled up behind her, its yellow lights cutting through the darkness. Elise grabbed her purse and prepared to step out into the rain when the driver's door of the truck opened. Even through the rain-streaked window, she recognized him immediately. The same broad shoulders, the same confident stride. 12 years had added some lines to his face and a touch of gray at his temples, but there was no mistaking Jake Reeves. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she watched him approach. She considered ducking down, pretending she wasn't there, but it was too late. He was already at her window, flashlight in hand. Elise rolled down her window, and their eyes met for the first time in over a decade. "Elise?" His voice was deeper than she remembered, rougher around the edges. "Hello, Jake." She managed to keep her voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside her chest. The recognition in his eyes quickly hardened into something else, something cold and distant. "Montgomery Roadside Assistance didn't mention it was you. They didn't know. My assistant made the call." Elise swallowed hard. "I didn't know you were still in Miller's Creek. Never left." He stepped back from the car. "Pop the hood. Let me take a look." Elise did as he asked, then stepped out into the rain, her designer heels immediately sinking into the mud. Jake was already bent over the engine, his flashlight illuminating the problem. "Blown head gasket," he said without looking at her. "I'll need to tow it back to the shop. Can't you fix it here?" He finally turned to face her, raindrops clinging to his eyelashes. "Not unless you've got a spare engine in that designer purse of yours." The Jake she remembered had always been quick with a joke, ready with a smile. This man was all business, his walls up so high she couldn't see over them. "Fine," she said. "How long will the repairs take?" "A couple of days, at least. Parts for a Bentley aren't exactly stocked at the local auto shop." Elise checked her watch. "I have meetings tomorrow. I need to get back to Portland tonight. There's a motel in town. I can drop you there, and you can call a car service in the morning." "A motel?" The word felt foreign on her tongue. Jake's mouth twisted into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Sorry, it's not the Ritz, Ms. Montgomery." The way he said her name, like it was something distasteful, made her flinch. "That's fine," she said, gathering her dignity. I'll need to get some things from my car. As she collected her overnight bag from the trunk, her phone rang. It was Margot again. "Ms. Montgomery, I've booked you a room at the Miller's Creek Inn. It's the only accommodation in town. I've also arranged for a car to pick you up at 7 a.m. tomorrow." "Thank you, Margot. You're a lifesaver." Elise ended the call and climbed into the passenger seat of Jake's tow truck. The cab smelled like him, a mixture of motor oil, pine, and something uniquely Jake that brought back a flood of memories she'd spent years trying to forget. He hooked up her Bentley in silence, then slid back into the driver's seat. The windshield wipers beat a steady rhythm as they drove toward town. "So," he finally said, "Montgomery Innovations. You got what you always wanted." "Yes." She stared out the window at the passing trees. "And you? You took over your father's garage?" "After he passed, yes." "I'm sorry to hear that. Your father was a good man." Jake's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "He was." The silence stretched between them, filled with unspoken words and buried regrets. As they approached the town limits, Jake cleared his throat. "I should warn you." But whatever he was about to say was cut off by the ringing of his phone. He answered it through the truck's Bluetooth. "Dad?" A young girl's voice filled the cab. "Are you coming home soon? I finished my science project, and I want to show you before bed." Elise's heart stopped. "Dad." Jake was a father. "I'll be home in about 30 minutes, sweetheart," Jake replied, his voice softening in a way it hadn't for Elise. "I just have to drop off a customer at the inn." "Okay. Love you, Dad." "Love you too, Lily." The call ended, and the silence that followed was deafening. "You have a daughter," Elise said quietly. Jake nodded, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. "She's 11. 11. The math wasn't difficult. Elise's mind raced. Had Jake moved on so quickly after she left? Had there been someone else even while they were together? Her mother? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Jake's jaw tightened. Not in the picture. They pulled up to the Miller's Creek Inn, a quaint two-story building with a wraparound porch. Jake put the truck in park but didn't turn off the engine. "I'll have your car at the shop. You can come by tomorrow after your driver picks you up to sign the paperwork." Elise nodded, suddenly reluctant to leave the warmth of the truck cab. "Thank you for the ride." She reached for the door handle, but Jake's voice stopped her. "Elise." He finally looked at her, really looked at her, and the pain in his eyes took her breath away. "Why did you come back here?" "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "My car broke down." He studied her face for a long moment, then nodded. "Some things never change, do they? You still running from the past?" Before she could answer, he reached across her and pushed open the door. "Good night, Elise." She stepped out into the rain, clutching her overnight bag to her chest. As Jake drove away, towing her Bentley behind him, she couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just stepped into something much bigger than a simple car breakdown. If you're feeling the tension building, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe now. The story is about to take a turn that will change everything for these two former lovers. The Miller's Creek Inn was exactly as Elise remembered it, charming in a rustic, small-town way that felt both familiar and foreign after years of five-star hotels. The elderly woman at the front desk handed her a physical key, not a key card, and directed her to room 7 on the second floor. The room was clean but basic, a queen-sized bed with a floral comforter, a small desk, and a bathroom that had been updated sometime in the early 2000s. Elise set down her bag and sank onto the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through her emails, trying to distract herself from thoughts of Jake and his daughter. Lily. A pretty name for what must be a pretty girl. Did she have Jake's eyes? His smile? The questions nagged at her as she prepared for bed. Sleep eluded her. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jake's face, not as it was now, hardened by time and circumstance, but as it had been that summer. Young and full of hope, looking at her like she was his entire world. Morning came too quickly. Elise dressed in the same clothes from the day before, grateful she'd at least packed an overnight bag for emergencies. Her driver texted that he was waiting outside, and she headed down to the lobby. The same elderly woman was at the desk, this time accompanied by a younger woman who looked to be in her 50s. Checking out already, the younger woman asked with a friendly smile. Most folks stay at least a couple of days to enjoy our little town. Just passing through, Elise replied, handing over her key. My car broke down. Oh, you must have met Jake then, the woman said, her eyes lighting up. He's the only mechanic in town. Salt of the earth, that one. Raising that little girl all by himself after what happened. Elise's curiosity got the better of her. What happened? The woman leaned forward, clearly eager to share the story. Well, Lily's mother left them both high and dry when the baby was just a few months old. Ran off to the city with some businessman. Jake's been both mother and father to that child ever since. The older woman clicked her tongue disapprovingly. Some women don't deserve to be mothers. Elise felt a chill run down her spine. Do you know the mother's name? Can't recall, the younger woman said. Jake doesn't talk about her much. Just that she chose her career over her family. Broke his heart, from what I hear. Elise thanked them and hurried out to her waiting car, her mind spinning. The timeline, the story, it couldn't be a coincidence. But if what she suspected was true, why hadn't Jake told her? Why hadn't anyone told her? Where to, Ms. Montgomery? Her driver asked as she slid into the back seat. Reeves Auto Shop, she said, her decision made. I need to see about my car. The garage was on the outskirts of town, a large metal building with Reeves Auto painted across the front in bold red letters. Her Bentley was parked outside, hood up, with Jake bent over the engine. He straightened as her car pulled up, wiping his hands on a rag. His expression was guarded as she approached. I didn't expect you so early, he said. I need to ask you something, Elise said, cutting straight to the point. Your daughter, Lily. Is she mine? The color drained from Jake's face. For a moment, he looked like he might deny it, but then his shoulders sagged. How did you figure it out? The timing. And the women at the inn mentioned her mother left to pursue a career in the city. Elise's voice shook. Why didn't you tell me, Jake? Why didn't you tell me I had a daughter? Jake's eyes flashed with anger. Tell you? I tried, Elise. I called you for weeks after you left. Your father said you wanted nothing to do with me or the baby. That you'd paid him to make sure I never contacted you again. What? Elise felt like the ground was shifting beneath her feet. My father told you that? He showed me the paperwork, Elise. A legal agreement with your signature on it, giving up all parental rights. He paid me $100,000 to keep quiet about the pregnancy and raise the child on my own. Elise shook her head, tears filling her eyes. I never signed anything. I never knew about Lily. My father told me you'd moved on, that you didn't want to hear from me again. They stared at each other, the truth dawning on both of them simultaneously. They'd been manipulated, kept apart by a lie so massive it had altered the course of both their lives. I have a daughter, Elise whispered, the reality of it finally sinking in. I have a daughter, and I've missed 11 years of her life. Jake's expression softened slightly. She's amazing, Elise. Smart as a whip. Kind. Stubborn as hell, just like me. Elise finished, a small smile breaking through her tears. Just like both of us, Jake admitted. Before either of them could say more, the sound of a school bus stopping nearby caught their attention. A moment later, a young girl with dark hair pulled into a ponytail came running toward the garage, backpack bouncing against her back. "Dad! Dad! I got an A on my science project." She skidded to a stop when she saw Elise, her eyes, Jake's eyes, widening with curiosity. "Oh, hello." Elise couldn't breathe. Standing before her was a perfect blend of herself and Jake, his eyes, her nose, his smile, her chin. How had she not seen it immediately? "Lily," Jake said, his voice gentle, "this is Ms. Montgomery. Her car broke down last night, and I'm fixing it for her." "Nice to meet you," Lily said politely, extending her hand like a miniature adult. Elise took it, marveling at the small, warm fingers wrapped around her own. "It's very nice to meet you too, Lily. If you're feeling the emotion of this moment, please hit that like button and subscribe. The journey these three are about to embark on is one you won't want to miss." "Dad says you're from the city," Lily continued, seemingly oblivious to the tension between the adults. "I want to go to the city someday. They have real museums there, not just the one room we have at school." "They do," Elise managed to say. "Many of them." "Lily," Jake interrupted, "why don't you go inside and start your homework? I need to finish talking with Ms. Montgomery about her car." "Okay." Lily turned to go, then paused. "You're really pretty," she told Elise. "You look like the lady in the picture Dad keeps in his drawer." With that bombshell, she skipped off toward the small house adjacent to the garage, leaving Jake and Elise in stunned silence. "You kept a picture of me?" Elise finally asked. Jake ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made her heart ache. "For Lily. I thought, someday she might want to know what her mother looked like." The word "mother" hung in the air between them. "I want to know her, Jake," Elise said quietly. "I know I have no right to ask, but—" "You're right," he cut her off. "You don't have the right to walk into her life after 11 years and disrupt everything." "That's not fair," Elise protested. "I didn't know about her. My father—" "Your father is a manipulative bastard, but you're the one who left, Elise. You're the one who chose your career over us. I was 18. I thought I was doing what was best for both of us. My father convinced me you'd be better off without me holding you back." Jake's laugh was bitter. "And look how well that turned out. You got your empire, and I got—" He trailed off, looking toward the house where Lily had disappeared. "A daughter," Elise finished softly. "You got our daughter." Something in Jake's expression shifted. "Yeah," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I did." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared past and the possibility of a shared future hanging between them. "Your car will be ready tomorrow," Jake finally said. "The parts are being delivered this afternoon." "I'm not leaving," Elise said firmly. "Not until we figure this out." "Figure what out, exactly?" "You have a life in Portland. Board meetings and galas and whatever else CEOs do. Lily and I have a life here. A life she deserves to know I want to be part of." Jake stared at her for a long moment, conflict evident in his eyes. "It's not that simple, Elise. Lily has asked about her mother her whole life. I've tried to protect her from feeling abandoned. If you come into her life now only to disappear again when your real life calls you back." "This is my real life too," Elise insisted. "She's my daughter." A car pulled up to the garage, and an older man stepped out, nodding to Jake. "Got those parts you ordered, Jake? Special delivery from Portland." "Thanks, Bill," Jake called back, then turned to Elise. "I need to get back to work." "Let me stay," she said. "Just for dinner tonight. Let me spend some time with Lily, not as her mother, just as a friend." "Please, Jake." He hesitated, then nodded curtly. "Dinner's at 6. Don't be late." Elise returned to the inn to shower and change, her mind racing. She called Margot and cleared her schedule for the next 2 days, ignoring her assistant's concerned questions. Some things were more important than business deals. At precisely 6 o'clock, she knocked on the door of the small house beside the garage. Jake answered, wearing jeans and a faded t-shirt, looking more like the boy she'd fallen in love with than the hardened man from the night before. "Come in," he said, stepping aside. "Lily's setting the table." The house was modest but warm, family photos on the walls, a bookshelf overflowing with children's books and mechanical manuals, a science fair trophy displayed prominently on the mantel. It was a real home, filled with love and memories. "Ms. Montgomery!" Lily exclaimed when she saw Elise. "Dad said you're joining us for dinner. I made my special lemonade." "I can't wait to try it," Elise said, her heart swelling at the sight of her daughter's enthusiasm. Dinner was spaghetti and meatballs, simple but delicious. Elise watched in wonder as Lily chatted about school, her friends, and her science project on renewable energy. She was brilliant, articulate, and confident, everything Elise could have hoped for in a daughter. "Dad says you run a big company," Lily said between bites. "What kind of company is it?" "We develop sustainable technology," Elise explained. "Solar panels, wind turbines, batteries that store clean energy." Lily's eyes widened. "That's exactly what my science project was about. Dad, she does what I want to do when I grow up." Jake's eyes met Elise's across the table, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Their daughter had inherited more than just their physical traits. After dinner, Lily insisted on showing Elise her room. The walls were painted a soft blue and covered with posters of space and scientific diagrams. A telescope stood by the window. "Dad got me that for my 10th birthday," Lily explained proudly. "I want to be an astronaut engineer someday. Or maybe invent new energy sources. I haven't decided yet." "You can do both," Elise said, fighting back tears. "You can do anything you set your mind to." When Lily went to take her shower, Elise found Jake in the kitchen, washing dishes. "She's incredible," Elise said softly. "Yeah," Jake agreed, a hint of pride in his voice. "She is. I missed so much, Jake. First steps, first words, first day of school." Jake set down the dish he was washing and turned to face her. "What do you want, Elise?" "Really? Because if you're thinking you can just waltz in here and play mom on weekends when it's convenient for you." "I want to be part of her life," Elise interrupted. "However that looks. I'll move my company headquarters to Portland instead of Seattle. I'll buy a house nearby. I'll do whatever it takes." "And what about us?" Jake asked quietly. The question hung in the air between them. Elise took a step closer to him, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. "I never stopped loving you," she admitted. "I tried. God knows I tried. But seeing you again, meeting our daughter." "Jake, everything I've accomplished feels hollow compared to what you've built here." Before he could respond, Lily called from the bathroom, "Dad. I forgot my pajamas." The moment broken, Jake stepped back. "We'll talk more after she's asleep." Later, after Lily had been tucked in with a bedtime story, read by Elise at Lily's insistence, they sat on the porch swing, 2 cups of coffee between them. "I need to tell you something," Jake said, his voice serious. "Something I should have told you last night." Elise's heart raced. "What is it?" "Your father came to see me last month." "He's sick, Elise." "Cancer. The doctors gave him 6 months." The news hit her like a physical blow. Despite everything, he was still her father. Why would he come to you? He wanted to make amends before. Jake trailed off. "He gave me this." From his pocket, he pulled out a folded document. Elise recognized her father's letterhead. "It's a confession," Jake explained. Everything he did to keep us apart. The forged documents, the lies he told both of us. He wanted me to give it to you if you ever came back to Miller's Creek. He knew my car would break down. Elise asked, confused. Jake's expression was grim. No. He sabotaged your car when you stopped for gas outside of Portland yesterday. Paid the attendant to damage the head gasket just enough that it would fail about 40 miles down the road. What? Elise couldn't process what she was hearing. Why would he do that? He's dying, Elise. He wanted to make things right before he went. Give you a chance to know your daughter. Give us a chance to. To what? She whispered. Jake set down his coffee cup and took her hands in his. To see if there's still something worth fighting for. If you're feeling the emotion building in this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. The journey of these three souls is about to take another unexpected turn. The next morning, Elise woke to the sound of laughter. She'd spent the night in Jake's guest room, their conversation having lasted well into the early hours. They'd agreed to take things slow, to focus on introducing Elise into Lily's life gradually before telling her the truth. She followed the sound to the kitchen, where Jake and Lily were making pancakes, flour dusting both their faces as they giggled over some private joke. Good morning, Elise said, suddenly self-conscious in her borrowed t-shirt and sweatpants. Ms. Montgomery. Lily exclaimed. Dad said you stayed over because it was too late to go back to the inn. We're making blueberry pancakes. They look delicious, Elise said, smiling at the domestic scene before her. Jake handed her a cup of coffee, their fingers brushing. Sleep okay? Better than I have in years, she admitted. Breakfast was a joyful affair, with Lily dominating the conversation, eager to impress their guest. After they'd eaten, Jake cleared his throat. Lily, how would you feel about showing Ms. Montgomery around town today? I need to finish working on her car, and she's never really seen Miller's Creek. Lily's eyes lit up. Can we go to the waterfall? And the old lighthouse? And get ice cream at Mr. Peterson's? All of it, Jake promised. Just be back by dinner time. The day that followed was one of the most precious of Elise's life. Lily led her through the small town, proudly showing off her favorite spots, the library where she spent rainy afternoons, the creek where she and her friends built dams in the summer, the lighthouse on the point where Jake had taught her about navigation. My dad knows everything, Lily said as they sat on a bench, eating ice cream cones. He can fix anything, build anything. He taught himself all about stars and planets just because I was interested in them. He sounds like an amazing father, Elise said softly. Lily nodded, then hesitated. Can I ask you something, Ms. Montgomery? Of course. Do you like my dad? Like him? Elise nearly choked on her ice cream. What makes you ask that? Lily shrugged. The way you look at him. It's the same way Ms. Jenkins looks at Mr. Peterson at the ice cream shop, and they're getting married next spring. Your dad and I, we knew each other a long time ago, Elise explained carefully. Were you in love? Lily asked bluntly, with all the directness of an 11-year-old. Elise considered lying, but something told her honesty was the better path. Yes, we were. Lily nodded thoughtfully. I think he still loves you. He got all nervous when he saw your car last night, and he only gets nervous when something really matters. Before Elise could respond, her phone rang. It was a Portland number she didn't recognize. Excuse me, Lily. I need to take this. She stepped away and answered the call. Elise Montgomery speaking. Ms. Montgomery, this is Portland Memorial Hospital. We're calling because you're listed as the emergency contact for Richard Montgomery. Elisa's blood ran cold. My father? What happened? He collapsed this morning. The cancer has spread to his brain. The doctors are doing everything they can, but he's asking for you. I'll be there as soon as I can, Elise said, ending the call with shaking hands. She turned back to Lily, who was watching her with concern. Is everything okay? No, sweetheart. My father is very sick, and I need to go to him right away. They rushed back to the garage, where Jake was just closing the hood of the Bentley. It's fixed, he said when he saw them, then frowned at Elise's expression. What's wrong? My father's in the hospital, she explained quickly. I need to get to Portland right away. Jake's face hardened. After everything he did. He's still my father, Elise interrupted. And he's dying. Jake nodded reluctantly. Your car's ready. Do you want me to drive you? No, stay with Lily. I'll call you when I know more. She knelt down to Lily's level. I had the best day with you, Lily. Thank you for showing me around your town. Are you coming back? Lily asked, her eyes wide with worry. Elise looked up at Jake, seeking permission. When he nodded slightly, she turned back to Lily. Yes, I promise. There's something important I need to tell you, but it will have to wait until I get back. She hugged the girl tightly, breathing in the scent of her hair, strawberry shampoo and sunshine. Then she stood and faced Jake. I'll be back, she promised. This isn't goodbye. I know, he said softly. We'll be here. The drive to Portland was a blur. Elise's mind raced with thoughts of her father, of Jake, of the daughter she'd just discovered. By the time she reached the hospital, it was late afternoon. Her father looked small in the hospital bed, tubes and wires connecting him to various machines. His once imposing presence had been reduced to a frail shell. Elise, he whispered when he saw her. You came. Of course I came, she said, taking his hand. It felt like paper in hers. You've seen her? Your daughter? Elise nodded, tears filling her eyes. She's beautiful, Dad. Perfect. And Jake? We're talking. Her father closed his eyes briefly. I was wrong, Elise. So wrong. I thought I was protecting you, giving you the future you deserved. But I stole something precious from you instead. Why, Dad? Why did you do it? Because I was afraid, he admitted, his voice barely audible. Afraid you'd choose love over ambition, like your mother did. She gave up everything for me, and then I lost her anyway. I didn't want you to make the same sacrifice. Elise's mother had died when she was just 10, leaving a hole in both their lives that had never fully healed. That should have been my choice to make, Elise said, her voice breaking. I know that now. He squeezed her hand weakly. Can you forgive me, Elise? Before I go? She looked at this man who had shaped her life in so many ways, both good and bad. Who had given her every advantage while simultaneously taking away the thing she needed most. I forgive you, she whispered, and was surprised to find she meant it. Relief washed over his face. Thank you. Now go back to them, Elise. Don't waste another day. I will, Dad. I promise. She stayed with him through the night, holding his hand as his breathing grew more labored. Just before dawn, Richard Montgomery took his last breath, finally at peace. As the sun rose over Portland, Elise made a call. Jake? It's me. My father's gone. His voice was gentle on the other end. I'm sorry, Elise. Can you and Lily come to Portland? I need you both right now. We're already on our way, he said. Lily packed a bag as soon as you left yesterday. She said you might need us. Tears filled Elise's eyes. She was right. 3 hours later, as Elise sat in the hospital waiting room completing paperwork, she heard a familiar voice. Ms. Montgomery. She looked up to see Lily running toward her, Jake following close behind. The girl threw her arms around Elise's waist, hugging her tightly. "I'm sorry about your dad," Lily said, her voice muffled against Elise's shirt. "Thank you, sweetheart," Elise replied, stroking her daughter's hair. Jake approached more slowly, his eyes full of concern. "How are you holding up?" "Better now," she said honestly. They took Elise back to her penthouse apartment, where Jake made dinner while Lily explored the floor-to-ceiling windows with wide-eyed wonder. "You can see the whole city from here," she exclaimed. Later, after Lily had fallen asleep in the guest room, Elise and Jake sat on the balcony, a bottle of wine between them. "I think it's time we tell her," Elise said quietly. "About who I really am." Jake nodded. "She's smart. She's already asking questions about why we came running to Portland for someone we supposedly just met." "Are you afraid she'll hate me?" Elise asked, voicing her deepest fear. Jake reached across the table and took her hand. "Lily could never hate anyone, especially not you. She already adores you." "And what about you?" Elise asked, her heart in her throat. "Could you ever forgive me enough to try again?" Jake was quiet for a long moment, his thumb tracing circles on the back of her hand. "I never stopped loving you, Elise. Even when I thought you'd abandoned us, some part of me held on to what we had. I want to come home," she whispered. "Not to Portland, not to Montgomery Innovations. To you and Lily. To Miller's Creek." Jake's eyes widened. "What about your company? I can run it from anywhere. Or I can sell it. None of it matters compared to what I've found with you two." Jake stood and pulled her to her feet, drawing her into his arms. "Are you sure about this? It's a big change from penthouse living." Elise looked up at him, at the face she'd loved for so long. "The only thing I'm sure of is that I don't want to waste another day without you and Lily in my life." He lowered his head and kissed her then, a kiss 12 years in the making. It felt like coming home. The next morning, they sat Lily down and told her the truth, all of it. About their summer love, about Richard Montgomery's deception, about the daughter they'd created together. Lily listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When they finished, she looked directly at Elise. "So you're my mom? My real mom?" "Yes," Elise said, her voice trembling. "I am." Lily was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she asked, "Did you ever think about me? Even though you didn't know I existed?" "Every day," Elise answered truthfully. "I felt like something was missing, but I never knew what it was. Now I do." Lily nodded slowly. "Can I call you Mom? Or is that too weird?" Tears spilled down Elise's cheeks. "I would love that more than anything in the world." Lily launched herself into Elise's arms, and they held each other tightly, making up for 11 years of lost embraces. Jake watched them, his own eyes glistening with tears. "Does this mean you're staying with us?" Lily asked when they finally pulled apart. "Are you coming back to Miller's Creek?" Elise looked at Jake, who nodded encouragingly. "Yes, sweetheart. If that's what you both want, I'd like to come home with you." "And are you and Dad going to get married?" Lily pressed, ever practical. Jake choked on his coffee while Elise laughed through her tears. "We're going to take things one step at a time," she explained. "But we love each other very much." "Good," Lily said decisively. "Because I've always wanted a mom and a dad." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of change. Elise arranged for her father's funeral, a small, dignified affair that brought closure if not complete healing. She appointed her trusted CFO as interim CEO of Montgomery Innovations while she took a sabbatical to focus on family matters. The board was skeptical but couldn't argue with the company's record profits under her leadership. Jake and Lily returned to Miller's Creek while Elise tied up loose ends in Portland, promising to join them within the month. True to her word, 28 days later, a moving truck pulled up outside Jake's modest house, followed by Elise's Bentley. "You're really doing this, Jake said in wonder as he helped her carry boxes into the guest room that would soon become her home office. "I've never been more sure of anything," she replied, setting down a box of family photos, new ones, taken during her visits over the past month. That night, after Lily had gone to bed, they sat on the porch swing again, just as they had on that first night of reconnection. "I have something for you," Jake said, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small, worn velvet box. "I bought this 12 years ago, the day before you left for Harvard. I was going to propose." Elisa's breath caught as he opened the box to reveal a simple but elegant diamond ring. "Jake. I'm not asking now," he clarified quickly. "We need time. Lily needs time. But I want you to know that this has been waiting for you. That I've been waiting for you." Elise took the box with trembling hands. "Keep it safe," she whispered. "For when we're ready." 6 months later, on a crisp autumn day, Jake took Elise and Lily on a picnic to the spot where he and Elise had first met, a clearing by Miller's Creek with a view of the mountains beyond. As Lily explored the creek, searching for interesting rocks, Jake dropped to one knee and presented the ring again. "Elise Montgomery, I've loved you for half my life. Will you marry me?" "Yes," she said without hesitation. "1,000 times, yes." Lily's squeal of delight told them their private moment hadn't been so private after all. She ran to them, throwing her arms around them both. "Finally," she exclaimed. "I was wondering when you'd ask her, Dad." They were married the following spring in a small ceremony by the creek, with Lily serving as both flower girl and maid of honor. Elise wore wildflowers in her hair instead of diamonds, and Jake wore the same watch his father had given him on his 18th birthday. Montgomery Innovations opened a research facility in Miller's Creek, bringing jobs and opportunity to the small town while allowing Elise to balance her career with her new family life. Jake expanded his garage into a full-service auto shop, hiring local mechanics and teaching classes at the high school. And Lily? She thrived with both parents in her life, her natural intelligence and curiosity nurtured by Elisa's business acumen and Jake's practical knowledge. By the time she was 16, she'd developed a solar-powered engine that earned her a full scholarship to MIT. On the night before Lily left for college, the three of them sat on the porch swing that had witnessed so much of their journey. "I'm scared," Lily admitted. "What if I'm not good enough?" "You are more than good enough," Elise assured her. "You're extraordinary. And if you ever need us," Jake added, "we're just a phone call away." "I know," Lily said, leaning her head on her mother's shoulder. "I just can't believe how lucky I am. Most kids only have one set of parents their whole lives. I got to have my amazing dad, and then I got you too, Mom. It's like the universe knew exactly what I needed." Elise met Jake's eyes over their daughter's head, a lifetime of love and gratitude passing between them. "The universe works in mysterious ways," she said softly. "Sometimes the longest roads lead us exactly where we're meant to be." As the stars came out over Miller's Creek, the family that fate had torn apart and then reunited sat together in peaceful silence, proof that even the most broken paths can lead to the most beautiful destinations. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories of love, redemption, and second chances. Remember that sometimes life's breakdowns, whether they're cars or relationships, can lead to the most unexpected and beautiful breakthroughs. The end. "Daddy, she's crying." Those two simple words from 5-year-old Lily shattered the carefully constructed walls Jack had built around his heart over the past 3 years. There, standing in the crowded mall on Christmas Eve, was Emma, his ex-wife, the woman who had walked away from their family without looking back. But why was she alone? Why was she crying? And why, despite everything, did Jack still feel that familiar pull toward her? What happens next will change their lives forever. The mall buzzed with last-minute shoppers, Christmas music floating through the air as Jack gripped Lily's small hand tightly. He hadn't planned to be here today, but Lily had begged to see Santa one last time before Christmas. How could he say no to those big brown eyes, eyes that reminded him so much of Emma's? "Daddy, look! It's Mommy!" Lily tugged at his sleeve, pointing across the food court. Jack's heart stopped. 3 years. It had been 3 years since Emma had walked out of their lives, claiming she needed to find herself. 3 years of bedtime stories without a mother's goodnight kiss. 3 years of Jack learning to be both mom and dad to their daughter. "Lily, honey, I don't think," but his words died in his throat when he saw her. Emma stood near the pretzel stand, one hand covering her mouth, tears streaming down her face. She looked thinner than he remembered, her once vibrant appearance now subdued. "Daddy, she's crying," Lily said, her voice small with concern. Before Jack could stop her, Lily broke free from his grip and darted through the crowd. Jack's heart lurched as he pushed through the sea of shoppers, trying to keep his daughter's bobbing red hat in sight. "Mommy!" Lily called out, and Emma turned, her tear-stained face freezing in shock. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more content like this. The journey these three are about to embark on will touch your heart in ways you never expected. Emma knelt down as Lily approached, her hands trembling as she reached for the daughter she hadn't seen in years. Jack stood frozen several feet away, a storm of emotions raging inside him, anger, confusion, and something else he didn't want to acknowledge. "Lily?" Emma's voice cracked. "Oh my God, you've gotten so big." Jack finally found his voice. "Lily, come back here." His tone was sharper than intended, causing both Emma and Lily to flinch. "Jack," Emma whispered, standing slowly. I didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly," he replied coldly. "Come on, Lily. We need to go see Santa." "But Daddy, Mommy's sad," Lily insisted, her small face scrunched with worry. "We can't leave her alone on Christmas." Jack felt dozens of eyes on them, curious onlookers watching their family drama unfold in the middle of the mall. He lowered his voice. "This isn't the place, Lily." "Please," Emma said quietly. "Could we talk? Just for a minute?" Jack wanted to say no. Every logical part of his brain screamed at him to take Lily and walk away. But something in Emma's eyes, a desperation he'd never seen before, made him hesitate. 5 minutes, he conceded. "There's a coffee shop around the corner." As they walked in tense silence, Jack couldn't help but notice how Emma kept stealing glances at Lily, drinking in every detail of the daughter she'd abandoned. What right did she have to look at Lily that way now? The coffee shop was mercifully quiet compared to the mall. Jack ordered hot chocolate for Lily and black coffee for himself. Emma asked for tea, her voice barely audible. "So," Jack said once they were seated, Lily happily distracted by the whipped cream mountain on her hot chocolate. "What brings you back to town?" Emma wrapped her hands around her mug. "My mom's sick. Cancer. I came back to help take care of her." Jack felt a pang of sympathy despite himself. Margaret had always been kind to him, even after the divorce. "I'm sorry to hear that." "She's been asking about Lily," Emma continued, her eyes fixed on the table. "About you, too." "We're fine," Jack said curtly. "We've been fine without you." What Emma reveals next will leave you speechless. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what happens. Emma flinched as if he'd slapped her. "I deserve that," she whispered. "I deserve all your anger, Jack. What I did was unforgivable." "Then why did you do it?" The question that had haunted him for 3 years finally escaped. "Why did you leave us?" Emma's eyes filled with fresh tears. "I was sick, Jack. Not physically, mentally. I had postpartum depression that never went away. It just got worse and worse until I couldn't see any way out. I thought." Her voice broke, "I thought you and Lily would be better off without me." Jack stared at her, processing her words. He remembered the months before she left, how she'd withdrawn, how she'd cry for no reason, how she'd stopped eating. He'd attributed it to unhappiness in their marriage, never considering it might be something deeper. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice softer now. "I was ashamed. I thought I was failing as a mother, as a wife. And then I convinced myself you'd be happier if I just disappeared." Lily, who had been quietly sipping her hot chocolate, suddenly spoke up. "Did you stop loving us, Mommy?" Emma's face crumpled. "No, baby. Never. Not for 1 second. I thought about you every single day." "Then why didn't you come back?" Lily's innocent question hung in the air. "Because I was scared," Emma admitted. "Scared you wouldn't want me anymore. Scared I'd hurt you again." Jack watched as his daughter processed this information, her small brow furrowed in concentration. Then, with the simple wisdom only children possess, Lily said, "But you're here now." Those 4 words hit Jack like a thunderbolt. She was here now. After 3 years of absence, Emma had returned. But was it too late? Could they ever rebuild what had been broken? "Where are you staying?" Jack found himself asking. "At my mom's house. I've been there for about a week." Jack nodded slowly. "Tomorrow is Christmas." "I know," Emma said, looking down. "I was at the mall buying a gift for my mom when I saw you both." Lily tugged at Jack's sleeve. "Daddy, can Mommy come to our house for Christmas? Please?" Jack looked at his daughter's hopeful face, then at Emma's surprised one. 1,000 reasons to say no raced through his mind. But then he remembered something his own father had told him: "Christmas is for forgiveness, son. If you can't find it in your heart to forgive on Christmas, when can you? What happens next will warm your heart and remind you of the true meaning of Christmas." If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that touches the soul. "Dinner is at 6, Jack said finally. "Nothing fancy. Just ham and potatoes." Emma's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "No," Jack admitted honestly. "But it's Christmas, and Lily wants you there." "And you?" Emma asked softly. "What do you want, Jack?" Jack looked at her, really looked at her for the first time since their unexpected reunion. Behind the sadness in her eyes, he could still see traces of the woman he had fallen in love with, the woman who had given him the greatest gift in his life, their daughter. "I want..." he began, then paused. "I want Lily to have a good Christmas." It wasn't the whole truth, but it was all he could offer right now. Emma nodded, understanding the unspoken boundaries. "Thank you. I'll bring dessert." As they prepared to leave, Lily surprised them both by taking Emma's hand. "I missed you, Mommy," she said simply. Emma knelt down, tears flowing freely now. "I missed you too, baby. More than you'll ever know." Jack watched this exchange with a lump in his throat. He had spent 3 years trying to fill the void Emma had left in Lily's life, but some spaces could only be filled by a mother's love. The next morning, Christmas Day dawned bright and clear, a fresh blanket of snow covering the ground overnight. Jack woke early, his mind racing with thoughts of the day ahead. Would Emma actually show up? What would they talk about? How would Lily handle having her mother back in her life, even if just for one day. He found Lily already awake, sitting by the Christmas tree in her pajamas. "Santa came," she exclaimed when she saw him. "He sure did," Jack smiled, pushing aside his worries to focus on his daughter's joy. They spent the morning opening presents, making pancakes, and watching Christmas movies. But as the day progressed, Jack noticed Lily growing increasingly distracted, her eyes darting to the window every few minutes. "She'll be here, sweetheart," he assured her, though he wasn't entirely convinced himself. At 4 o'clock, Jack started preparing dinner, his hands moving mechanically through the familiar motions while his mind wandered. He thought about the first Christmas he and Emma had spent together, how they'd burned the turkey and ended up ordering Chinese food. He thought about their first Christmas with Lily, how they'd stayed up all night assembling a dollhouse. He thought about the 3 Christmases since Emma left, how he'd forced himself to be cheerful for Lily's sake while feeling hollow inside. At 5:45, the doorbell rang. What happens at that door will change everything. The final moments of this story will leave you breathless. Lily raced to the door, Jack following close behind. When he opened it, Emma stood on the porch, snowflakes dusting her hair, holding a bakery box and a small gift bag. "Merry Christmas," she said tentatively. "Merry Christmas, Mommy," Lily exclaimed, throwing her arms around Emma's legs. "Come in," Jack said, stepping aside. "Dinner's almost ready." Emma entered the house slowly, her eyes taking in the familiar surroundings. "You kept the same decorations," she observed, noticing the handmade ornaments on the tree, the stockings hanging from the fireplace, including hers, Jack realized with a start. He'd never had the heart to take it down. Lily insisted, he explained, though they both knew it wasn't entirely true. Dinner was awkward at first, conversation stilted and polite. But Lily, oblivious to the tension, chattered happily about school, her friends, and the presents Santa had brought. Gradually, the atmosphere warmed, memories of happier times softening the edges of their shared pain. After dinner, they moved to the living room. Emma gave Lily the gift she'd brought, a beautiful snow globe with a ballerina inside, knowing Lily's love for dance. "I have something for you too, Jack," Emma said hesitantly, handing him the small gift bag. Inside was a framed photograph, one he'd never seen before. It showed him holding newborn Lily in the hospital, his face a mixture of awe and love as he gazed down at his daughter. "My mom took it," Emma explained. "I found it when I was going through her things. I thought you should have it." Jack stared at the photo, emotion tightening his throat. "Thank you," he managed. As the evening wore on, Lily began to yawn. "Time for bed, princess," Jack said, standing up. Can Mommy tuck me in?" Lily asked hopefully. Jack and Emma exchanged glances. "If that's okay with your dad," Emma said carefully. Jack nodded. "Of course." He listened from the hallway as Emma read Lily a bedtime story, her voice soft and animated in all the right places. When she finished, he heard Lily ask, "Will you be here tomorrow, Mommy?" There was a pause before Emma replied, "I don't know, sweetheart. That's something your daddy and I need to talk about." "I want you to stay," Lily said sleepily. "Forever." Jack stepped away from the door, his heart heavy with conflicting emotions. When Emma emerged from Lily's room, her eyes were red-rimmed. "She's asleep," she said. "Thank you for letting me do that." "She's your daughter too," Jack acknowledged. They stood in awkward silence for a moment before Jack gestured toward the living room. "Would you like some coffee? Or something stronger?" "Coffee would be nice," Emma said. As Jack prepared the coffee, Emma wandered around the living room, stopping at the mantel where family photos were displayed. "You've done an amazing job with her, Jack," she said quietly. "She's happy, well-adjusted. I was so afraid." "Afraid of what?" Jack asked, handing her a mug. "That I'd broken her when I left." That she'd be angry or withdrawn or... Emma trailed off. Kids are resilient, Jack said. And I never spoke badly of you to her. I told her you loved her but needed to be away for a while. Why? Emma asked, her voice barely audible. Why would you do that for me after what I did? Jack sighed, sinking onto the couch. Because I knew something was wrong, Emma. I didn't understand it was depression. I thought maybe you'd fallen out of love with me, with our life together. But I never believed you stopped loving Lily. Emma sat beside him, careful to maintain distance between them. I never stopped loving either of you, she confessed. That's what made it so hard. I loved you both so much, but I couldn't feel it. It was like watching my life through a glass wall. I could see everything but couldn't connect to any of it. And now? Jack asked, meeting her eyes. How do you feel now? Better, Emma said. I got help, therapy, medication. It took a long time, but I started to feel like myself again. That's when the guilt really hit me. By then, I thought it was too late to come back. Why did you think that? Because I abandoned you, Emma said, her voice breaking. What kind of person does that to their family? I thought you must hate me. I thought Lily would be better off without me confusing her life. Jack was quiet for a long moment, processing her words. I was angry for a long time, he admitted. Hurt. Confused. But hate? No, Emma. I never hated you. The final revelation will leave you in tears. If this story has touched your heart, please like and subscribe. Emma wiped away a tear. When I saw you both at the mall yesterday, it was like the universe was giving me a sign. I've been trying to work up the courage to contact you since I got back to town. And what would you have said? Jack asked. That I'm sorry. That I made the biggest mistake of my life. That I don't expect forgiveness, but I want a chance to be in Lily's life again, in whatever way you think is best. Jack studied the woman before him, the mother of his child, the woman he had once promised to love for better or worse. She had hurt him deeply, but sitting here now, he could see her pain had been even greater than his own. Lily needs her mother, he said finally. We can figure out some kind of visitation schedule. Start slow, see how it goes. Relief washed over Emma's face. Thank you, Jack. That's more than I deserve. It's not about what you deserve, Jack said. It's about what Lily needs. Emma nodded, understanding. And what about us? She asked hesitantly. Can we ever be friends again? Jack looked down at his coffee. I don't know, he answered honestly. That might take more time. They talked late into the night, filling in the gaps of the past 3 years. Jack told her about Lily's first day of kindergarten, her ballet recitals, her obsession with dinosaurs. Emma shared stories of her recovery, her work as a graphic designer, her volunteer work with a postpartum depression support group. As the clock struck midnight, marking the end of Christmas Day, Emma stood to leave. I should go. My mom will be wondering where I am. Jack walked her to the door. Tell Margaret I said hello. And that I hope she feels better soon. I will, Emma promised. And Jack? Thank you for today. It meant everything to me. As she turned to go, a small voice called from the top of the stairs. Mommy? Are you leaving? They both looked up to see Lily standing there in her pajamas, clutching her teddy bear. I was just saying goodnight to your daddy, sweetheart, Emma explained. But you'll come back tomorrow? Lily asked, her voice small and uncertain. Emma looked at Jack, who gave a slight nod. Yes, Lily. I'll come back tomorrow. Lily's face lit up with a smile that warmed Jack's heart. Good, she said, and then added the 2 words that would change everything, we're family. Those simple words hung in the air between them. We're family. Not, we were family, but, we are family, present tense, unbroken despite everything. Jack felt something shift inside him, a crack in the wall he'd built around his heart. He looked at Emma and saw the same realization dawning on her face. Their daughter, in her innocent wisdom, had cut through years of pain and regret with a truth so simple it was impossible to deny. Yes, we are, Jack found himself saying, his voice thick with emotion. After tucking Lily back into bed, Jack returned to find Emma still standing by the door, tears streaming down her face. She never forgot me, Emma whispered. After everything, she still sees us as a family. Kids see the truth sometimes better than adults do, Jack replied softly. As Emma prepared to leave again, she paused with her hand on the doorknob. Jack, I know I have no right to ask this, but, do you think there's any chance for us? Not now, not soon, but someday? Jack took a deep breath. 3 years ago, he would have said no without hesitation. But tonight, watching Emma with Lily, seeing the woman she had become through her struggle and recovery, he couldn't give that same answer. I don't know, he said honestly. But I'm willing to find out. The smile that bloomed on Emma's face was like the first ray of sunrise after the longest night. That's all I can ask for, she said. As Jack closed the door behind her, he leaned against it, overwhelmed by the events of the past 2 days. Christmas had always been about miracles, but he never expected to receive one of his own. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy. Trust, once broken, took time to rebuild. But for the first time in 3 years, Jack allowed himself to hope. Hope that his daughter might grow up with both her parents, hope that the wounds of the past might finally begin to heal. And it had all started with those 2 simple words from a 5-year-old girl, we're family. 6 months later, Jack sat on a park bench watching Emma push Lily on the swings, their daughter's laughter carrying across the playground. The past months had been filled with careful steps forward, family dinners, weekend outings, honest conversations after Lily went to bed. Emma had moved into her own apartment nearby, close enough to be present in Lily's life but giving Jack the space he still needed. She had proven herself reliable, showing up when she promised, never missing a moment of their carefully constructed co-parenting schedule. And somewhere along the way, Jack had started to look forward to seeing her, to sharing stories about their day, to rediscovering the woman he had fallen in love with so many years ago. Daddy, watch me. Lily called, pumping her legs to swing higher. I see you, princess, he called back, smiling. Emma caught his eye across the playground and smiled too, a smile full of gratitude and something else, something that made his heart beat a little faster. That evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Jack and Emma sat on his front porch, the summer night warm around them. I have something to tell you, Emma said, her voice nervous but steady. I've been offered a permanent position at the design firm. I'm staying in town for good. Jack felt a surge of relief he hadn't expected. That's great news, Emma. There's more, she continued. I've been talking to my therapist about us, about our family. She thinks we've been making amazing progress, but she also warned me not to rush things. She's right, Jack agreed. We can't just pick up where we left off. No, Emma said. But maybe we could start something new? Something better, built on everything we've learned? Jack looked at her in the soft porch light, seeing both the woman he had loved and the stronger person she had become through her struggles. He reached out slowly and took her hand. I'd like that, he said simply. As they sat together under the stars, Jack thought about the Christmas Eve that had changed everything, how a chance meeting and a child's simple words had opened the door to healing and second chances. Life wasn't a fairy tale. There would still be hard days ahead, trust to rebuild, and wounds that needed time to fully heal. But sitting here now, with Emma's hand in his and their daughter sleeping peacefully inside, Jack knew one thing for certain, they were family. And this time, they would face whatever came next together. If this story touched your heart, Please like and subscribe for more content that reminds us of the power of forgiveness, the strength of family bonds, and the possibility of second chances, even when they seem impossible. Sometimes the most profound changes begin with the simplest words, spoken from the heart of a child.